Hey everybody, welcome to an impromptu episode of Spilling Ink. I think we're going to call this, what, the spooky episode today?
Ooh.
It's October. We can get away with it.
Sounds good.
I can't wait for Halloween. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
I'm dying for Halloween.
Oh, I am beyond stoked for Halloween.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I live with a wet blanket that won't watch horror movies with me. So.
What?
No, Sharon doesn't watch the horror movies. She's the blanket that got dipped in the pool.
Okay, well, what about like family-friendly horror movies? Like, you know.
Well, I tried to get her to watch Near Dark, and she won't watch it. That's family-friendly.
Try Universal Classics.
Maybe.
Try Universal Classics.
You know, maybe I tried to. Well, I even tried to get her to watch because, well, Katie, as you know, the Plotaholics Viewer's Choice Halloween is going on. I tried to get her to watch Cabin in the Woods. No, I'm like, why? It's Cabin in the Woods. There's nothing scary.
Did not pick Fallen though.
I was very upset.
I was crushed when I saw that because that is my all-time favorite. Creep the hell out.
But you know what? It's okay.
I can't hear that song ever without thinking of that movie. That's how much that movie creeped me out.
Well, it's gonna get recycled to next year. It'll because let me see. We just did Cabin in the Woods. We're doing Sleepaway Camp this week's episode, and I've watched all three Sleepaway Camp movies. I couldn't find Return or 4, so I only watched the trilogy. So I'm all for that. And then I believe I can't remember what we're doing next week. I have to look, but it's going on now. So maybe I'll see if I can get her to. Well, I got her to watch Lost Boys with me last year.
Oh, that's classic.
Okay, good. Okay,
that's classic.
That's redeeming.
That's
she wouldn't watch. If she wouldn't watch Lost Boys, then I don't think there's any more to discuss.
Yeah.
No.
You have to watch that one.
I'm gonna need you to watch The Lost Boys. Something. Yes.
Oh, and next week we're watching Get Out, and then we are going to end
Jordan Peele, isn't it?
Yep. And then we're going to end it with A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nice.
Oh, she's not ready for Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh, no, she's not even close to ready for Nightmare on Elm Street. No.
Speaking of classics, and this one snuck in under the radar completely. I didn't realize that they were doing a remake of this, but Anne Hathaway is starring in
Witches, yes.
Witches.
And it looks good. It looks really good. It's going to be on HBO Max. I cannot wait for that.
I saw that.
I mean, Angelica running on Netflix. Perfect.
The original freaked me out, man. Angelica Houston scared the hell out of me.
The original is on Netflix right now.
Yes, it's
I
on
love
Netflix.
the original as a kid.
Don't forget Bruno. Bruno was my man.
Before we get too off topic,
and I was like, why don't you tell me that before Family Week ends, and then I could actually watch The Witches.
Oh, I know one thing that has
to too off topic because we can easily go down the rabbit hole when it comes to Halloween.
Yeah, especially with me here.
To do the business, we gotta say, pay a little homage to our sponsors here. So 1 second, and let me find our video here.
Hello, everybody. I am Joe Compton, and welcome to our channel, Go Indie Now. This is the place that celebrates indie artists and indie art. And we do so by producing several shows that either air on daily, weekly, monthly, or seasonal scheduling. And within those shows, we aim to educate and entertain you. If you're an indie artist who's trying to figure out how to do this, this is the place you need to be. If you're an indie artist who's looking to promote and doesn't have any avenues and is tired of the grind, this is the place to be. Because remember, it's always time to go indie now.
That's right. It is always time to go indie now. And speaking of go indie now, they do a show every Friday on their Twitch channel. So tonight is actually going to be the town hall where yours truly is going to be talking about all things publishing. So anybody out there who's got a question about how to self-publish, you do not want to miss tonight's episode because we're going to answer every single question that pops up in the live chat.
Where do baby books come from?
A mommy book and a daddy book.
Oh, that's how that works.
Yeah, when they join chapters.
That's what we call the fade to black.
There you go. I'm good for that. Yeah.
All right. And speaking of things that are going on right now, we've got you guys, our wonderful guests, because of, what is it called? It's the Horroween week. What is this all about? I want to hear about this.
Do you want me to start? Okay, Horroween started on September 30th. It's 45 days of horror entertainment. We started with Family Week, that stuff that the whole family can enjoy, stuff that maybe would start Brian's wife down the path to get where we are, the rabid, insane horror fans that we are. And then we, we kind of like, baby steps from, say, Scary Godmother, which is a G-rated cartoon, all the way up to who our surprise guests for Slasher Week are going to be, which is Tony Todd, the Candyman, and Ari Lehman from Friday the 13th, the very first Jason.
The original Jason that jumps out of the water.
The original Jason that jumps out of the water. He is one of the first ones that confirmed that he would talk to Lachelle and I for a tribute to the Titans of Terror.
Nice.
Awesome.
He's nice.
So what went into putting all of this together?
Lachelle keeping Blood Rain going while I had no internet was one of the major things.
I refuse to let go.
She's the reason that it never died. I've lost internet. I had my car pretty much died, and I lost our office. But Lachelle has always been the one that's like the driving force. And so when I started talking about Horroween, she already had the Clever Cauldron going, and she's the one that keeps the clients and the nonfiction side going. And it's like, look, if we're going to really do this, we have to put up some free content so that they know what we're doing and that we're not going to go away. And we've received a lot of encouragement. The Horror Writers Association president, John Palisano, one of the board members, Hal Bodner, they've contributed guest posts to our site. And then yesterday or the day before, I was in a Twitter conversation with Joe R. Lansdale and Jonathan Mayberry about what it takes to get to the next level of writing, where we don't have to have full-time jobs other than our own writing.
That's a good conversation. Where can they find that?
Yeah.
That's on Twitter. If you follow one of us, which most people would follow Jonathan or Joe, but I'm at Stancil 13, and if they look on my feed, they can see the conversation that starts with Jonathan Mayberry's "Please take me with you" UFO abduction picture, to my saying, "No, Jonathan, if you go with the aliens, you might end up in a Joe R. Lansdale short story, like in an incident on and off the mountain road. You don't want the demon to get you." And he's like, "But Joe has cookies." And then it ended up being like 2 days where they're already friends, but he's like, "But they're vanilla wafers." And I'm like, no. You've got to have Kit Kats and free martial arts lessons from one of you two martial artists, black belts, before I consider attempting to go on the mountain road.
We'll have to follow that.
And if you're not familiar,
like an interesting conversation.
If you're not familiar with that, it's on Masters of Horus, the very first episode. You can see Joe Lansdale's adaptation of his short story, where a girl ends up in an accident on a mountain road, and she's trying to fight this thing that looks like a demon, and then it has flashbacks of her life with her husband, with a twist ending that fits in perfectly for not next week, but the next week after that. I think it's week 4. Lachelle, is that Urban Legends and Cryptids?
Let me take a peek.
Ooh, Cryptids.
I think that's what it is.
I like Urban Legends. I want to be
see,
an urban
that's where it crosses
Week
the
4
line
is Monsters and Mayhem.
Yes. So that's the week that we're interviewing Joe. That I'm interviewing Joe Lansdale. I've interviewed him before when I was the HWA Gulf Coast chapter chair, because Hap and Leonard, the TV show, was being filmed in Louisiana, and that's where our home base was, because I lived outside of New Orleans, and that's how I met him, because I got assigned that from Lisa Morton. And so he's going to be talking to us about psychological horror and not just monsters and stuff like that, because sometimes the worst monster is not Bigfoot or Freddy. It's the human monster.
Yep. That's actually what made me really love the Walking Dead, and even Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, is because it shows how the humans are actually the ones you really have to worry about. The dead, you know what's coming. Yeah. Humans, you never know what's coming.
At first I wasn't a zombie fan, and then everybody keeps telling me, oh, well, this and this show and this show. And then my son is obsessed with Z Nation. And
Z Nation is pretty fun. Z Nation.
Well, we interviewed Carl Schaefer. So we have a YouTube channel where we interviewed Carl Schaefer, who does Z Nation. He's from Erie, Indiana. But my son loves that show. And so after Justin Shincrow was like, you need to watch this show, I started watching it. And then when we decided that we were going to do week 2 as Classics Week, I stayed up one night all night watching black and white movies. And when I watched the original Night of the Living Dead, I was like, okay, well, it's just going to be kind of, you know, they're coming to get you, Barbara. And then it's like, I watch it, and it's like, the zombies aren't the scariest thing. It's the
people.
The racism it's the racism aspect of it, because he was human, and you could see that he had a gun, obviously, but they shot him anyway.
Yep.
And I'm like, it's the humans that were
that was
real
huge
monsters.
here. And the thing is, I'm from Pittsburgh, so we take our Romero stuff very, very seriously. We take a lot of the zombie genre extremely seriously. For those of us that are, you know, zombie fans, because the only thing we take more seriously is the Steelers and the Penguins. We forgot the Pirates even exist. But
the Pirates man is like retired.
There you go. Same here. But I still remember the very first time I watched Night of the Living Dead. I was like, but how did they think he was one of them when he's got a gun? And then because I wasn't old enough to understand the racism aspect of it. And then I got to it and I watched it again and I started picking apart the nuances and just the conversations.
The Cooper guy, he tried to lock him out because he was the only one. But Ben was the only one with common sense. He's like, we got to stay up here. We have all these
if Cooper would have if Cooper would have been willing to cooperate, they might have made it. And that's something that Tom Savini even brought about perfectly in the 1990 remake. I mean, he took it to the next level, obviously, because you could do more. You know, it's 22 years later.
Right.
But in with Tony Todd, I mean, he portrayed it brilliantly. I think. You know, and that's the one thing that I love about the zombie genre. And a lot of people say, well, zombies is all the same thing and blah, blah, blah. And I said, but it's the way you build your human characters that makes it better. And that's the one thing that I've had people come to me all the time. Well, as an author, doesn't it drive you nuts that you've got to figure out if somebody's done this before? And it's like, bro, everybody's already done everything. It's what you put. It's what you bring to the table. Is what makes it special.
It's what you bring to it.
That's what makes what you do special. So,
everybody take a drink.
What you do then?
I love that my bottle sounds like I'm drinking from an old gourd.
What are you drinking today, Brian?
I am drinking fresh water from the tap of my kitchen in beautiful Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania.
You can drink tap water out there?
Yeah. Apparently the fluoride and the chlorine hides the other creepy crawlies brilliantly.
The toxins?
The bacteria and amoeba?
Yep. I figure I should be developing superpowers any day now.
Nah, it's not gonna happen. Maybe another eye.
Well, I wasn't going to go Renfield. I had to dump my coffee out because I found a fly in it.
That's
so,
protein.
I did have my witch coffee mug because I haven't ordered the squad. And I think I told you this, Lachelle, but our whole staff is getting these squad coffee mugs of Freddie, Jason, and Michael for Christmas.
Oh,
yeah.
But I just haven't.
Awesome.
I haven't ordered them yet. With Ashley and Carson not wanting to give their addresses out, you and me might be the only one drinking out of squad coffee mugs.
Works for me.
Funny? Talking about different types of horror, I think body horror, like Hellraiser. Granted, Hellraiser is demonic horror, and that always freaks me out. But Hellraiser can also, an argument can be made that Hellraiser is body horror. Can you imagine if somebody grew eyeballs in their armpits? And you just got to keep your hands up like this so you can see. You got to stay like this so you can see.
That's horrible.
That reminds me of the cartoon All Real Monsters. He had his eyeballs in his hands.
Yeah, and he's just like that.
Yes, I was just thinking about that.
I'm writing a mutant with eyeballs in his armpits.
I was like the mom with the eyes.
He can walk around like this.
Oh man, you want to talk about freaky body horror? Who's seen The Gate? And the kid had the eyeball in his hand, and he had to stab it. I was like, oh. If you've never seen The Gate, that's Canadian horror at its best. I believe it's 1986, 1987. First time I ever saw Stephen Dorff, Deacon Frost, on screen.
That was Stephen Dorff in that.
Yep, that was a young Stephen Dorff.
That was a great movie.
It really was.
I've always been horror light. Like,
you're horror light.
I can handle certain monsters, and I can't handle certain monsters. So as long as it's within the realm of the monsters I can handle, I'm cool with it.
Well, what horror movie still to this day scares the shit out of you?
Except for exorcism lately, because my older child has mental health issues, and he reminds me of a child that's possessed.
Okay, that is honestly the scariest thing. Your child standing by the side of your bed, waking you up in the middle of the night, just standing there staring at you.
Well, with your child, of course. Your child stares flies to stop moving. I saw your daughter look at a koi pond, and every koi stopped swimming.
Oh.
Your daughter's gaze freezes.
Most likely to be the next Ted Bundy.
Nice.
Well,
maybe.
Well, see, the movie Night of the Demons still scares the crap out of me. I can't watch that movie after dark. If I watch it after dark, I am not sleeping because it scares the hell out of me.
When I was little, my brother was 10 years older than me, and so he always got stuck babysitting me. And he was a typical teenager babysitting his, little sister. He just let me do whatever, and he invited his friends over. Well, they love to watch horror movies, just any movies. They were like binge movie watchers. And so I remember distinctly one weekend, he was supposed to be watching me, and he put on the entire Critters trilogy.
Yeah!
And I sat there, and I remember him saying, "You're not going to like this." And I was like, "I'm going to watch it." And I sat there with the guys, and I watched the whole thing, and then I went to bed. And I was fine until something fell off the top of my closet.
Yes! That is so awesome.
And that memory has stayed with me. Even into adulthood, I still remember that night and that feeling of absolute terror.
Well, hey, if it wasn't for that series, we would not have Leonardo DiCaprio. So thank you, Critters.
There you go. Thank you, Critters.
Thank you, Critters.
I'm a big bug fan, so I loved Alien. I love that chest burster. I love the thing popping out and everybody looking crazy, and then when it goes and runs down the hallway.
I like the original, and I like the sequel. Alien 3, I have to be in a mood for. I only watch Alien Resurrection because Ron Perlman is in it. And then once they start doing Alien versus Predator, I'm like, okay, no more.
Have you seen Prometheus?
I have seen Prometheus.
Have you seen?
I've seen Prometheus and I've seen the sequel, and I did enjoy them. I really did. I think Michael Fassbender was amazing.
I think
he's creepy.
He is very creepy.
I think he's creepy.
He definitely reminds me of Ash. He reminds me of Ash.
He crawls inside creepy too well. I mean, I look at him, and then when I see him like in the X-Men movies, I'm like, nah, that's that creepy dude from the Alien movies. And he just...
I can't even watch.
I can't get down with him. No.
After watching 1 Hour Photo, I can't watch Robin Williams movies the same again.
Oh, I couldn't watch that movie. Nope.
That was weird.
That was not a
weird.
Yeah.
I remember
that's crossing over into my other stuff. So I like both of that. I mean, I haven't seen some of these in years. Like I told Lachelle today, I was like, I have got to rewatch Candyman. I haven't seen it since the first time it came out on video.
Yep, Candyman. But I've
never
amazing.
been able.
It was on.
I mean, I've never had a filter where with much of stuff that I was able to watch. The first thing I ever saw at a drive-in theater was Sleepaway Camp. And the only thing in that entire movie that I wasn't able to see was the very end, where they had to cover my eyes real quick because of the spoiler. Let's just leave it that way, because I don't know who all seen it. The big spoiler.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, maybe not so big, but
like, what the?
No, it wasn't really big for that. Not for that age, no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna give it away, but I'm like, that's a chick with a
You know what? What's bad though? The one thing about Sleepaway Camp is that now I remember seeing it when I was really young, but it had been a long time since I'd seen it. But the problem is that you can't enjoy a film like that has that much of a twist ending at this day and age unless you have no access to the internet and someone just comes over with you know the DVD or whatever, because it's been spoiled. If you go to any, like, because I love list videos like Watch Mojo and stuff. Anytime there's a horror movie list, Sleepaway Camp is most likely on it because it's one of those. It's a great. If it wasn't for like Friday the 13th, Sleepaway Camp would probably be a much more popular franchise, and it probably wouldn't have gone into
huge gotcha movie.
It really is, but the problem is that once they got you, that's it. You know, and that's the sad part.
But then you gotta watch the sequels to know what she does next.
The sequels are so I love the sequels so much.
I tell you, the second movie is the reason why I never snorted any drugs in my life.
You mean
I think it's the second movie.
Yeah,
maybe
it's the third one. It's the third one. Yeah, the third one. That was awesome. That was so good.
I was like, I am not going to do drugs.
But see, I really want to see what sucks is that finding Return to Sleepaway Camp is so hard to find. And Sleepaway Camp 4. I have Shudder. It's not on there.
How about Tubi?
Try Tubi, because
I know Tubi. What's Shudder?
If you have a smart TV, there are so many apps. There is stuff that my mom, she got with Carson's mom, and they were talking about the movies that they had watched growing up, because they were both born in like the late 50s. And one of the first movies that's on my mom's list, I think her and Carson's mom both they both liked it, but it's called Color Me either Blood Red or Bloody Red. It's from 1966 or something. My mom was 8 years old, and I think it's on Tubi. And you've got all these old drive-in horror. It's on free Halloween movies. It's on Tubi. I tried watching some of the Hammer classics on Tubi that Lachelle had recommended, but I was like, I realized, have I even read Dracula?
Is Tubi free?
Have I read Dracula since I was like 8 years old? I'm like, oh my God, I'm so behind.
Oh, speaking of Tubi, I just got done watching Fright Night, the original and the remake.
Oh,
awesome.
Now, is Tubi free?
Yeah.
Yes,
it is. It's very free. Just download it.
My son, and you guys are going to love this.
You're almost done.
When he was about 7 years old, I thought he was asleep. And so I'm watching on my laptop, I'm watching the remake of and it's got like and here's Colin Farrell, and he's doing all this stuff, and then you have the vampires blowing up in sunlight. He goes, yes, that's the way it's supposed to be. The cool vampires blow up, and the good lame ones sparkle. And he was 7.
Oh, exactly.
And I'm like,
you are raising that child properly.
Yeah. Hey, you know, Carl Als gave me his book and autographed it at the horror convention because I was at the discussion for vampires at the 2013 World Horror Convention. He came up to me. He goes, let me give you my book because you have the right attitude if your son can pop up with something like that. And, you know, that's how Bogner and I have been friends ever since because of that.
Wow.
Because my son...
my Zoe's that way, too. She likes all the movies you do not expect her to like. She's going to be the horror queen of the house. Last year, we didn't do it this year. My kids everybody's off. This year is just a wash. But last year, the entire month of October, I wanted to do like every night we're going to do, you know, family friendly-ish Halloween theme, scary theme. We'll watch all the Goosebumps. We'll watch all the Are You Afraid of the Darks? And my oldest and my middle child both, peace out. We can't do this.
We have a list on our site.
Zoe was like, what are we watching tonight, Mom? I was like, oh my goodness. Yep.
Yeah, see, Sharon won't watch. I was like, hey, are you going to watch this? No. I'm like, wimp. But no, I mean, I get it. It's just, you know, I think it takes a special breed of people to really be able to get into and enjoy horror. I mean, I get it.
Speaking of, since we're talking about old stuff, and I can't find but YouTube references to it, Tales from the Crypt.
The movie or the series?
I own every episode.
Those shows. Where?
I believe. Let me double check. Let me see.
I have the DVD box set. Would you like? Where is my box set? Do you want to see it? I can go get it and show it to you what it looks like.
Well, I'm looking at it
right on my shelf.
I can find episodes on YouTube, but they're really terrible quality. I want to be able to stream it.
Well, I bought the DVD box set at Walmart.
Oh, this sucks. I thought Tales from the Crypt would be on HBO Max, but it's not.
No, it's not on HBO Max or whatever Amazon's version of it is. And I could have sworn it would be.
Prime.
They're on Amazon.
Did you try Amazon?
They're on Prime.
Yeah,
I think you can stream them on Prime.
They're on Prime.
They're listed, but they're not for streaming.
Oh.
It's like a blank listing.
Prime Video. Oh, you have to pay for it.
Yeah, you got to pay for them, I think. Let me see.
I think I paid $45 to buy the DVD box set at Walmart.
Oh, yeah, the video's currently unavailable. Yeah, it's giving you that.
I tried that.
Yeah.
I've been trying to find...
What I'm thinking of is once I get enough vacation time, or I can get at least 3 days off in a row, we were going to do a watch party. We have been talking about a watch party where I turn my laptop camera the opposite way and we stream on Rabbit, where I host a viewing party or Lachelle hosts a viewing party, and what we're watching you can watch. Oh, there's a black cat.
Yeah,
but
that's
I have the entire
that's my baby girl
of Tales from the Crypt that I could watch.
Those were so much fun. I love
Tales from the Crypt is amazing.
And how many stars do they have cameoing in those episodes?
Oh, so many.
Man. My favorite episode of Tales from the Crypt was the one with the and it was the only episode that I remember seeing where it was a black cast. And it was when the black kid went to go live with his uncle who was a cut rate mortician. And
that's the movie, isn't it?
No, the show. No. And when the kid went to go stay with his uncle, his uncle ended up breaking his back or something. And then pushed him down the stairs and killed him. And then he was too tall for the casket he had, so he cut off his legs to make him fit in the casket. And then his nephew came back because his uncle sold his Jordans because his Jordans were all he had.
Oh, no.
And he sees the dismembered feet in the Jordans. And they kick him down the stairs, and the nephew is just standing there on his crutches and get like, "I'm coming for you, uncle." And I'm like, "Ah, No, that's awesome. That was Tales from the Crypt. I remember that so vivid. It's oh man, I loved it so much. That was the only one.
Out to me.
I like the Whoopi Goldberg one.
Oh.
Oh, I don't remember that one. I remember the one with the Santa Claus and she's like, "Look, Mommy, he's real. I told you he was real." And then she's at the serial killer in the house. No, that was like one of the first movie. No, this is in the box set. I don't know if it's a movie, but they included it in the box set of the TV show.
They did.
She's like, yeah, she put her, she let the Santa Claus here, and that was I can't remember the actor's name, but he also played Dr. Giggles in the horror movie.
Larry Drake. He was also on LA Law.
Yes, the mom just killed the stepdad.
The mom just killed the dad.
Do you?
Yeah, she killed the dad. Okay.
That's the movie.
That's the movie.
That is the movie. And who's that? That's that lady from Dynasty who played the mom. The one with the dark hair.
I can't think of her name, but I know that the other. I like the one with the guy that plays William Sadler, who's death in the Bill and Ted movie.
Yeah.
And he's the executioner, and then
I know because I know he was in Demon Knight, and Demon Knight is an awesome movie.
He's talking about being about the electric chair, and he's killing. He just executes the people, and then they don't have it anymore, and then he goes and he starts killing the people.
Ooh.
That and Joe Pantoliano with the guy who's like has a cat thing in his head. And
I got
there's
you.
So many great episodes.
I got you, Katie. I got you.
What you got?
Yeah.
Just follow the link.
Follow the link. Okay.
Did you find it?
Oh, I see it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's a long link, but I will find. Oh, wait, is that Apple TV?
No, that's Plex.
Oh, cool. All right,
I remember. Do you remember? It had Amanda Plummer, where this guy, she married this guy, and she's rich, and the guy was gonna marry her and kill her, but it turns out that in her family, it's a matriarchal family, that they marry men to get pregnant and then kill them on the wedding night.
Yes.
That was such a good story. And dude really thought he was all about something and he was gonna get her, and she's like, nope.
Nope.
Oh, what's it? Oh, the one with Demi Moore.
Like, sorry, not gonna happen.
The one with Demi Moore where she goes see this fortune teller, and the fortune teller tells her, you're gonna marry rich and blah blah blah. So she marries the real big guy that makes her sick.
I remember that one.
Right.
And it turns out the only way that she came into money, he came into money from killing her.
Right.
Tales from the Crypt with Billy Worth from the Lost Boys even had an episode on there. Billy Worth, who played the quiet vampire Dwayne, had an episode on there where he was a lumberjack. That was awesome. And he started having an affair with the woman's husband, and she liked to, lead guys on to get her husband jealous. And the husband blinded him, so all the lumberjacks got together and put the wife and the husband in logs, and we're like, "Here, blind Billy Worth, here's a chainsaw." He's like, "Yay!" That's the way I always took it anyway. Love that episode.
They did a great job though. It always had the surprise twist at the end. That moment of oh my god, I didn't see that coming, or that moment where you're just like, yes, they got their comeuppance.
Yep. And they got it all in within 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's great effective storytelling when you can get 2 hours worth of a story into less than a half an hour, because you figure 2 minutes for the intro, 2 minutes for the outro, so in 28 minutes, and you just get a full and effective story. Love it.
Did anybody like the Leah Thompson episode?
You gotta tell a tale.
Yep.
Yeah.
I could do that. I could have a Tales from the Crypt. It can be Tales from the Tan.
Well, they also had, what was it? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Are You Afraid of the Dark was amazing.
Absolutely love that one, even though that was the very, very kid-friendly version.
But it was kid-friendly, but it was still so terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. See, I love Tales from the Dark Side. Tales from the Dark Side was so much fun. And
but
Twilight Zone.
you wouldn't have had the the kid friendly campfire tale one if you wouldn't have had Erie, Indiana.
Well, what about
everybody
Goosebumps?
keeps coming back to. And Goosebumps, because Goosebumps, Carl Schaefer said that they had approached him for a book, and then he didn't have time for it because he was doing something with Joe Dante, and then that's when
they gave it to that's when R.L. Stein took over.
R.L. Stein, yes.
Yep, because R.L. Stein was a comedian and a comedy writer, and they was like, "Hey, this guy couldn't do it. You want to do it?" And he was like, "Okay,
okay,"
and it worked out.
Points to Erie, Indiana, and some of his inspiration he did with Now, I know you just said it, Katie. I can't even think of it. And, I didn't even know when I met DJ McHale. He was a part of HWA event that we did. And I was like, I didn't even know who he was. And I was like, so I got this guy's picture next to the HWA sign, but I don't know who he is. And Heather Graham looked at me and she goes, did you not grow up in the 90s? And I was like, well, yeah, technically. And she goes, have you not seen Are You Afraid of the Dark? And I'm like, no. And she was like, yeah. Yes. Before you got to my books, you were watching his show. And I was like, I'm like, this was one of the shows that was so pivotal to my life.
Hell yeah.
And there were some people that started out on that show. Rachel, I can't think of her name. She's got blonde hair and blue eyes, and she was in Carried to the Rage.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rachel Blanchard. Rachel Blanchard.
Yes, her. Yeah, and she was one of the girls that was sitting around telling the stories, and then she was on Carried to the Rage as one of the girls.
And she ended up getting on to yep, and she ended up getting taken out with the she made her glasses explode into her eyes. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember. I actually liked the Rage Carrie too. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much.
At the time, I would watch anything that Jason and Jeremy London did, so it wouldn't have mattered if it was good or not.
I'm a big fan of the London Twins. I'm a fan of the London Twins. I won't lie.
You need to check out Jeremy London's new piece. It's Monsters Anonymous. It's basically like the Universal Monsters, and they're in a support group, and they're talking about how they're not scary anymore.
Thing is, I don't see how werewolves ever got out of being frightening. Werewolves are terrifying. One of the
voices is Dante from Jay and Silent Bob.
Nice. Brian O'Halloran is the man. And Brian O'Halloran, I kind of feel bad for him because he's one of those guys that even if he does voice acting work, it's Dante. He doesn't sound
it's Dante.
It's just Dante. Even Kevin Smith can do different voices where if he could do a voiceover in a movie and he could do it in just a way that
you wouldn't know
in Yoga Hosers, you wouldn't know that Kevin Smith was a little. You wouldn't know that was him.
Right.
Brian O'Halloran, it's just Dante.
It's Dante.
It's just Dante. Dante's being scary again. Tell him to shut up. But you know what? You brought up Tales from the Hood earlier. You want to talk about great storytelling with an edge to it that sort of goes to the black experience. That's the one thing that gets me about horror is that not enough black representation in horror. But
not until Jordan Peele.
Not until Jordan Peele, but see, the way I looked at it before Jordan Peele was, but see, I looked at it as this, because we were smart enough not to put ourselves in those situations, because we don't get overly curious to investigate things, and we don't go on camping trips usually. And if there's something hidden, and if there's something that's in an attic, we ain't reading it. And if you start reading it, we're leaving.
Yeah,
we're out.
We're done.
We're leaving in the running car.
What you're saying though is you're smarter than us. Hands down, you're smarter than us.
If Ash would have had, if in the original Evil Dead, if there was at least one brother there, as soon as Scott was like, "I'm gonna play this tape recorder," brother would have been like, "No, the hell you not, white boy? No, turn that shit off."
The thing that used to get me about my ex-husband's best friend. Go ahead.
Uh-oh. There's a movie that kind of highlights just what we're talking about. It's on Tubi. It's called Bigfoot. And of course, this group, you know, they get this money to go research Bigfoot, and they're all stoked.
The legend is alive.
So they get back to the office to ask a guy to go with them. Just, you know, and because this guy claims he has a Bigfoot carcass. Well, they get back to the office, and of course, they ask this black guy, "Hey, you're going to come with us?" He's like, "Look at me. Do I look like I go in the woods? I don't do that. Go ask him." And they point the camera to this squirrely-looking white guy with hair, and he ends up going. And I was like, "Oh, I got to finish this movie." If you want to see something with a twist, it has at the end. I won't give it away, but you got to give it a try.
All right. You know what? And that's almost like in Scream 2 when Dwayne Johnson, Dwayne Martin, they're like, "Well, I need you." He goes, "Nuh-uh. Black folks don't last long in these situations. I'm out of here." And then he showed back up after everything was done because you know what? Brother was smart. I'm like, "Nuh-uh. You want to be curious about all that? Go ahead. I'll see you later." I'll make sure to laugh at you at your funeral.
I always liked the satire, the comedy versions of those movies where they would just pick on every single thing that people did wrong.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh,
like scary movies, the franchise.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, the Wayans were like the best part of the whole movie, but it was like, you know, that if somebody said, "Hey, we're gonna go investigate this haunted house," Marlon Wayans would be smacking somebody, or Kim would take off her shoe and throw it at him.
Because I tell you one thing.
I mean, that's still in the Jennifer Hudson expression, but you either like it or you don't like it, and the shoe is coming off, and you can beat somebody with it.
That's right. It's just like if my son came to me and goes, "Dad, look at this! I've got a book that's bound in human flesh and inked in human blood." Get it the hell out of my house. Why would you even bring that in here? This is how you get horror movies. Do you want a horror movie in this house?
Exactly.
Shit.
Whatever.
That's why there's only what? 5 black people in all of Friday the 13th. One was actually trying to fight Jason, which was, I mean, all right, I get it. The other one was trying to fight Jason, and he was just like, "Look, I got nowhere to go. I'm going out swinging," because Julius wasn't going to go out like a wimp. He at least was going to throw some punches before he went. Ali just was like, "Look, you done chopped off my arm. I'm beating your ass." And Jason had to hack him to pieces just to make sure he didn't get back up. And then in Jason X, bruh man was like, "Look, we're going to Earth. I'm gonna die in re-entry. I'm gonna beat your ass while we going into re-entry. I don't care anymore." There was only one black person, 2 black people that were straight up victims. And unfortunately, they were the sisters. And it's like, dude, it ain't even the black guys you got to be worried about. It's the sisters you got to be worried about because they're way scarier than we are.
Look, I was told at my first birthing class that the children most likely to survive being born premature are black females.
Well, I was born premature, but it was only about like a month.
That's pretty premature, though.
Yeah, I was a little kid. And then I became a fat kid.
And then
I became a fat kid.
Did I just see a little kitten up there?
Yeah, my Delphine ran away because I got one.
She's over here like
Oh, you know she's just a baby because an adult cat ain't gonna let you hoist him like that.
Nope.
If I try to do that with my cat, the dude. Oh yeah, she's still in that age. The dude would have swiped at my face with his claws, but by now he's like, "No, picking me up."
Yeah.
Brian, if your cat's named Delphine, you need to watch the St. Francisville experiment. I think you'll get a kick out of that.
You know what? What's crazy is that she came to me with that name. I didn't name her that. Oh. She came to me with that name. Her son, the dude, I gave him that name because that was the only name he would answer to. Is the dude? Or,
is that because you just said it all the time, dude?
I just kept saying dude, and then he just started. That's what he answers to.
The Big Lebowski.
That's my name.
I mean, the Big Lebowski.
Yes, the Big Lebowski.
Well, you were close with the Valboski. Well, what's funny is that I call my son the Duder. I call my son the Duder, and Ed Souter called him that once. And my son my son is the sweetest kid. His voice got Zoe level cold. And he's like, my name is Brian Jr. And that was like, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No one, his mother doesn't even call him Duder. That only I'm allowed to call him. My kid went scary. He went into Annabelle.
Wow.
Yeah, sounds like it. Sounds like it.
I might have to write a book about him going cold-blooded on someone for calling him by the wrong name.
But good on him for standing up for himself, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
He won't do that with calling me all out my name.
That's right. Like, only person allowed to call me outside of my name is my dad, and that's just because that's the first name I ever knew. I only ever call him Brian when he's in trouble. That's the only time I call him Brian is when he's in trouble. Otherwise, it's just dude or duder.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, come to think of it, I don't ever really call my kids, well, my oldest, my teenager, I call her by her name. But the little ones are always just some version of their nickname.
Yeah. Well, see, my mother didn't have time to give me a nickname. I was just Brian.
Well,
I knew I was in...
You knew, though, how much in trouble you were in by how many names you got called.
Oh, my mother didn't waste... My mother didn't waste syllables using the whole name. It was just boy. It's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm only being called by my gender. There's a problem.
So we had the three names. First name, or sorry, four names, because there was the nickname.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the proper name. And then there's the middle name and the last name. You go through those levels of names depending on how much trouble you're in.
Oh, if I call my son by first, middle, last, and somebody set another fire. Oh, if I call my son by first, middle, last, and suffix, he knows it's his ass.
Uh-oh.
And I
knew that I was trouble. She would get so mad that she'd run through all my brothers and sisters before she got to my name. And then it was the first, middle, and last name. And then it was, bitch, come here. Oh, you know your name.
I made my mother so mad one time, she forgot my name. You!
I do that all the time. Like, I call Zoe when I mean Allie.
You know who you
I call
are.
Allie when I mean Zoe. And sometimes
you know who you are.
His name in there. You know who you are.
Yep. I remember one time, and I still I remind my mom of this to this day. There was something, I clearly did it. Clearly. I tried to say it wasn't me, it was someone else. And she goes, who the hell else would it be? And I was like, she was like, you don't have any siblings. Who else is? I'm like, I guess you got me there. I didn't think that one out.
Your imaginary friend, dude. Come on.
It doesn't work when you're an only.
No, it doesn't work when you're an only. And if I would have went to my mom and said my imaginary friend, I would have gotten it 10 times worse, because she'd have been like, now you're giving me stupid answers. Like I couldn't have been Andy in Child's Play. If Chucky would have been my doll, I would have been getting my ass beat for shit he was doing.
Yeah.
Because if I would have been like, Chucky did it, my mom would have been like, didn't I tell you don't be saying that bullshit like that?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mom. I really, it was Chucky. Oh, you didn't learn. And then she started walking up.
Tossed out the window.
Mm-hmm. And she was like, oh, this one. She would have thrown him out. And if he would have been back in the house again, I'd have gotten my ass beat for him coming back in the house, to the point where I'd have been like, Chucky, you're an asshole. You got to go.
See,
you're not even a cool toy anymore. No. And the movie would have been over. The movie would have been over.
Look, and then in the remake, he was more like Annabelle, and the fact that it was Mark Hamill, that just creeped me out even more, because he's supposed to be a good guy.
Oh my God, Mark Hamill as remake Chucky, that freaked me out, because it's like, this is where we're coming. This AI, all someone has to do is flip a switch. They just flipped the switch the wrong way, and now that's how you get the Matrix.
Like, dun dun.
One just brother for you later.
Mm-hmm. Oh, believe me, I would do something like that. I'm like, hey, I wonder what this does. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Look,
and then I wake up.
Let us have an Alexa or nothing in the house.
Oh,
like, it's gonna take over the
that
world.
freaks me the hell out. That thing randomly starts talking in the middle of the night.
I don't like
Alexa.
Alexa is not okay with me. I actually,
I don't have time for that.
I have Amazon Music. And they're like, do you want to set up Alexa? No. What about Cortana? No.
Look, I'm about to disable Siri on my phone because I can just mention my son and my phone will FaceTime him, and I will be at work and my phone's not even supposed to be on.
How the hell do you get your Siri to work that well? My Siri don't even work. I'll say, I'll say the command, and I'll be like,
so when I try to
do this,
and it don't want to work.
Yeah, it can't do it when I do it.
Last night, it wouldn't do it. And then, but I'll have it in my phone, and I'll talk about him, and then FaceTime. And then it took a screen capture of his face, being all mad, sitting at his desk, being like, "Mom, why are you trying to call me?" And then he just had this pissed off expression on his face, and he's sitting there with he's got his Game of Thrones Jon Stark mug in his hand, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be at work."
See, my favorite is the middle of the night.
My phone is possessed.
Working like super late on a project, and then out of the blue,
it just kicks in.
It just kicks in, or I say something and it catches it, and it goes, "I didn't understand you."
You weren't even supposed to be active. What the hell is you doing?
Everything is silent. There is no sound in the house, and I'm talking to myself while I'm working on something, and it answers, and you're like, "Holy shit, what's going on?"
Why is this a thing?
I'm gonna go YouTube live, and then you guys, we can all have our cell phones, and I'll have Keith Johnson exercise all our phones from the demons that are on it, because that seems to be what it is.
Yeah, no, I'm not getting in on that.
Nah, I'm okay.
That's serious.
And that's another thing too. Anything that involves Ouija boards, you never see black folks near those either.
Okay, but I've always had the other side of it. I'm like, if it's made by Hasbro, is it really that bad?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It was a concept stolen by the Wiccans or whatever. But Keith Johnson talks about that on The Haunting, and we're gonna get into that because next week I'm interviewing him, and he was on Ghost Hunters, he was on Paranormal State, but he's gonna talk about how his brother and his sister would play with the Ouija board, and he'd be like, "Y'all don't want to do that," and then they ended up getting haunted, and then now it started. He's the first person to get involved with the Conjuring House. Him and his brother were two of the first investigators.
If someone even brings a Ouija board anywhere near my home, they're getting punched in the genitals.
So you don't want that as a wedding gift?
No.
Okay.
Genital punch.
No. It's okay. I got a gift receipt. It's all good.
All right. Because no. Because I don't mess with denizens of hell. Only thing, thank God I watched Supernatural. I know what I can do. Salt and iron. Good.
Yeah.
Leave me alone.
All right.
No.
Or try this. Wear the onyx. And with your cross, and then it'll negate negative energy.
That'll work too. I just wish I really would. Because I'm telling you, I remember this one girl I was dating, and I was all about her, and then she was like, you wanna? I'm gonna pull out the Ouija board. Yeah, bye.
Oh,
nope. You are not.
Pass, huh?
You're not all that. You're not worth all that.
Yeah, relationship is over.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't.
I will know. You keep that juju over there. I tell me here. No me here. Over now. Nah. No. That's why anytime I see in those movies, you're moving it. Why are y'all even touching it? I was I'm watching Lovecraft Country, and the kids are doing the Ouija board, which was an awesome sort of nod because they implied that the one little boy was Emmett Till. They implied the little boy was Emmett Till, and that got me like all kinds of freaked out.
Yep.
But they're like, "You're an asshole. Why would you do that? Why are y'all even using this thing? Burn it with the cleansing fires of the Holy Ghost." Lord, no.
Plead the blood of Jesus. That's what.
Oh, the love and the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, and the blood of God. Nope.
You know, Brian, I cannot wait until we come down for your re-wedding next year.
I
want to sit down and watch a horror movie with you because I think watching you would be more fun than watching the horror movie.
Oh, depending on the movie? Oh, absolutely. Like, if we watch Return of the Living Dead, I'm all into it. Like, well, to this day, whenever Linnea Quigley is doing her striptease, and I'm like, and then it switches to Q Gallagher's face, I'm like, ew. Ew.
That's wrong.
It is.
That's
like
wrong.
you don't go from stripping to old guy.
Black Lagoon.
Creature of the Black Lagoon is probably one of my favorite of the old Universal. Besides,
I loved
that
it.
was a
besides Lon Chaney Jr.
Yeah.
Besides Lon Chaney Jr. as Larry Talbot as the Wolfman,
Yep.
I love the Creature of the Black Lagoon. I especially love when he's just swiping at everything.
That is awesome.
Oh man, I
And it's
love
like,
the old
if
Universal
you're-
movies.
If you want to get away from it, why are you going to chase it? Leave
Seriously.
it alone.
I actually,
Unless you know it.
I remember at one point
Just
Scholastic actually did like novellas of like books of it, and they would tell like they would have like pictures from the movie. I read all of them of all the Universal
I think
monsters.
I know what you're
remember
talking
those.
about.
I did the wolf one. I did
Yep.
werewolf, and I did.
I wanted one, but I didn't get it.
I remember the werewolf one
Frankenstein.
because my
I remember
favorite.
because the books had the Wolfman versus Frankenstein,
Yes.
Dracula, the Creature from the Black Lagoon. They had all of the Universal horror stuff in them, and I read every single one. I went to Catholic school, and they actually ordered more of them because I was reading them so much.
Anything to get a kid to read.
Oh my!
I'm
what's
surprised
funny-
that at a Catholic school they were doing that.
because
No, anything to get kids
It's
to read.
crazy. They wouldn't do that. You were going to hell. Look,
oh no, they
mine-
didn't do that. They didn't do that at mine. Although my one Goosebumps book, which was a vampire story, and the girl on the cover was in a bikini, and the principal took it because she said I didn't need to be seeing a woman's figure like that. I was like, but it's a vampire story. I didn't get it. But it's like, so I can read horror stuff, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I can't have boobies.
Nope.
All right, so we draw the line on the
that's
boobies.
how I grew up.
No.
You can't see the naked, you can't see the sex scene, but you can watch all the except when I got into my junior year English class. I have Stephen King's It on one side of my desk. I had Mary Shelley's Frankenstein on my desk. And I had like Mark Twain or something. And she's like, "You're going to hell." And I'm like, "Why?" It's Mark. I mean, it's like Tom Sawyer. And she's like, "No, those are tools of Satan." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I know Mary Shelley was communing with the devil, but what? You know, Stephen King. If you actually would read
What
this
Stephen
stuff,
King do to
it.
you? Although to be fair, the orgy in it is a little too far.
Right, especially considering their age. But I mean, if you talk about like,
I've never been so afraid that I decided. I've never been like, oh man, I'm scared as hell. I need an orgy up in here.
Yeah. I mean, how do you? But in his defense,
in a sewer.
He was drunk and stoned when he wrote a lot of his old stuff. And
you must be to think that that's. I mean, hey, yeah, I'm in a sewer. I'm scared. Oh, ignore that turd. I need to.
With a bunch of and it was like 7, 11-year-old kids. Why are they having sex in the first place?
I mean, granted, when
but you never see that in the movie.
No, not in any. Thank God, because that's a little uncomfortable.
That's a bit much.
Look, in the 1990s version, they didn't have it.
What is it? The unwritten law that if you have sex in a horror movie, you're one of the first to die.
Yes.
Well,
at least
well, I guess that meant that I would have survived horror movies. I would have survived horror movies. That I didn't lose my innocence in that regard until I was 18. So I'd have made it.
All right,
Survivor.
guys, we are at the end of our hour. So before we go, I want to give you guys a chance to give a shout out again about the Horrorween and which week you're in right now and which week's coming up.
Ghost Week. Ghost Week's coming up.
We're on Ghost Week. Ghost Week will be coming up, so we'll be posting a lot of things about paranormal, our favorite movies. If we have any interesting stories to tell, that's what's going on for week 2.
We have a special
and
guest.
Just so you know, the weeks run about
Johnson.
7 days.
Yes. And we have
One more
Keith
time,
Johnson. Are you asking Lachelle?
I think you guys were both talking at the same time. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lachelle. I think she was talking to you.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Tell about Keith Johnson. That it runs for 7 days. Each week runs for 7 days. So after 7 days, you get new content to roll over to the next week.
Right.
And is that Monday to Monday or Sunday to Sunday?
That's I think that's Tuesday to Tuesday. Or Wednesday. No, it's Wednesday to Wednesday. Yeah. I'm looking at the calendar. And then so we have Keith Johnson next week. He was on Ghost Hunters and Paranormal State. I'm going to be interviewing him and his wife. Keith and his twin brother Carl were the first investigators of the Conjuring House. One of our contributors, Carson Fox, is I don't know. She sees dead people and she communes with spirits. So she's going to be writing about growing up, dealing with growing up, being able to see ghosts and being able to talk to them and stuff like that. And I may have to turn the comments off on her post, except for when she does her movie reviews. But I got a piece from her last night where she talks about how the reason she chose what she did is because she basically was living the life of Cole. She grew up seeing dead people and didn't have anybody to talk about it with, because her dad went from metalhead to religious zealots at the time when she really needed to be able to talk to people. And so she discusses that. I'm going to probably turn so people don't, say mean things, but she does explain that stuff too. So that's Ghost Week, and we're doing a profile on the Warrens. I don't know how, but somebody started calling me an expert on the Warrens because I've been researching it for so long. But if you looked at my Facebook, you'd see that I'm friends with John Zaffis and Keith Johnson, and that's just the nonfiction side of investigations and going legend tripping. That's like my thing. But on our website, we have the listing for what our weeks are going to be. We have a girl named Ashley who made all our graphics, which they're awesome. And when Lachelle was like, hey, why don't we do this for that Gap Week you told me about? Ashley had our graphic within like an hour, I think, for the new week, the Monsters of Mayhem.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. So for everyone watching out there, Blood Rain lit. And next week coming up, you said, was Ghost Week?
Ghost Week.
All right.
Yes.
So thanks to everyone for watching. We'll be back with our regular scheduled show tomorrow night. Tonight, everybody needs to go over to Twitch at, what time did he put on there?
10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific.
You look at that. You got that. I'm bad with time zones. I suck at time zones. So 7 p.m. Pacific, 10 p.m. Eastern. Any question you have on publishing, we will get it answered. And until then, guys, I want you all to have a great night. Take it easy. And don't get too stressed out about the politics.